Hello, this is Mark Jeeves, and welcome to another edition of My Planet Rocks here on Planet Rock. Now, today we're joined by not one, but two members of this Grammy-nominated band, longtime friends of ours on Planet Rock. They've headlined Rockstock a few years ago, and just a few minutes ago played a fabulous up-close and personal acoustic set for us here at Planet Rock headquarters. Now, they're here with a new album, and we'd like to say welcome to Jay Buchanan and Scott Holiday. It's the Rival Sons. Welcome. Hello.
Hey.
Hello there.
How are you?
I don't want to be a big corrector, but we're a two-time Grammy nominated Jay Buchanan. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling just fine.
Did I say
thank you.
only Grammy nominated?
Yeah.
Okay, so two-time Grammy.
We earned that.
Two-time Grammy-nominated artist Scott Holiday.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? You
Yeah,
all right?
man, really good.
Great. The weather is delightful today.
Yeah, you've arrived in London on a sunny day, which is, I know, an unusual thing. We're going to talk about that new album. We're going to talk about Darkfighter. We're also going to listen to some of the song choices that you guys have brought along, because we asked you to bring along some tracks that have been influential to you, though some of them are pretty new, I've noticed as well, which is good to hear. Scott, we're going to start with one of yours.
Sure.
I'm going to start with something old, and I want to know why you chose Link Wray and the Raymen.
Link Wray is maybe in my, I'm almost like top three coolest guitar players of all time.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, he's like really high on my list, and it's not always just his playing, it's his whole persona, it's his approach, the tone, just who Link Wray is. His whole background is really interesting to me. Just this simple thing on Rumble of using this tremolo fuzz tone, it affected so many people, like we saw in It Can't, what's the movie?
It Might Get Loud?
It Might Get Loud. Yeah, we saw that. We saw even Paige, I think, talks about it in that video, in that movie. He talks about Link Wray influencing him, and it was mind-blowing to him.
When did you first hear this?
When did I first hear Link Wray or this track?
Or this track. Were you a kid, or was it? Were you?
No, I was older. I got into Link Wray more in my 20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hadn't heard of Link Wray.
Yeah.
I think I was 21, and there was this artist that I was living with in Huntington Beach. And he played me some stuff and showed me, and I was like, what?
So we're going to take this track, Ace of Spades, Link Wray and the Raymen. Let's take a couple more of the songs here. Scott, we're going to go with a recent album that came out from the Unknown Mortal Orchestra.
Oh, that's such a great record.
The album is
great
it's
band.
such a great band, isn't it? And this is Layla. Tell me about this.
I like everything that they're doing right now. It's really unconventional. It's really strange. They did, what was the record we really first got into?
Multi-Love.
Multi-Love you turned us on to. And we freaked out on that record. That's like a perfect record, I think. It's unbelievable, that record. And then they quickly followed it up with the weirdest stuff ever. Like tracks that were just numbers. Right. You know what I mean? And like 2 tracks that were like an hour. Of hour play, like the weirdest stuff. Like they're truly like a psychedelic band. They're far out, you know. So I've just been following them and loving them, and I really love that their guitar player singer Ruben is such a almost like anti-guitar hero.
Yeah.
No one would say he's a guitar hero from looking quickly, but I'm telling you, he's definitely one of the guys today that I look at like he's doing something inventive and interesting. His patterns are different. So I love it. I could have picked 10 tracks from them probably, but I like this one off the new record quite a bit.
Interesting, when we played that track from Unknown Mortal Orchestra, Scott was talking about how Ruben is kind of the anti-guitar hero. And Jay, earlier on, you were saying sometimes you have to remember to be the rock star. You know, it's not your natural default position?
Well, look, I always like to dress nice and all of that stuff. But I think that once we got together and the train really started rolling for Rival Sons, I think that I was reluctant and at odds with the idea of adhering to the genre. Rock music is really identified with, the 70s, the 60s, and and just all of the crap that came out in the 80s. But it's like all of the posturing and all of the form being going ahead of function. And I know that excessive nature and just all of that stuff. It wasn't necessarily something that I identified with. Right. I didn't look at a lot of this and and say, that's what I want. I want to do that thing, because so much of it just seemed ridiculous. But at the same time, I think that you're also up there and you're on stage, and you're the person who is writing and singing and playing this music that means something to people's lives. And so they want to look to something. And I think that initially that was something that was difficult for me.
Well, as a vocalist, you have a extraordinarily soulful and rich voice, but it works so well in this genre. One of the tracks you've chosen is by Donny Hathaway, and I wonder whether, as a vocalist, Donny was an influence on you.
I think so. I think that a good, honest voice transcends just about everything for me, because when it's sung in that certain way, with that honesty, you have two messages, you have two signals that are coming to you. You have the song itself, you have the lyric and the melody, but then the singer's also giving you another signal. They're giving you their honesty, they're giving you their heart at the same time, and you're receiving it. And I think that Donny Hathaway is a great example of that. It's very clear. His vulnerability is on full display. And when you take a song like this, of course, like John Lennon's version, of course, it's a great...
Did you pick Jealous Guy?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you picked that. I love that track. I think it's better than the original.
Well, yeah, it is.
And
it's
really
rare that you'll hear a cover that will actually bring the song to life in a new way.
Like also live, by the way.
Yeah, it's live. But you take John Lennon's version, and it's a great song. And you get it. You get the tenderness and everything. But then when you hear Donny Hathaway, it actually sounds a lot more honest.
Talking with Jay and Scott from Rival Sons, and there'll be people, as I say, you've been playing over here 10 years now, so there'll be kids coming to your show who... we all go to shows that change our lives, and yours might be one of them. So if you're talking to a young guitarist right now and they're going, I want to do what you do, what advice can you give them?
None of us should do exactly what each other are doing. When I was a kid, one of my biggest guitar heroes, and still to this day could be my favorite guitar hero, was Eddie Van Halen. I learned everything I could. I got as close to what he was doing as I could. And then one day I just took a hard left and had this realization, I don't want to play like this. I don't want to know all these. I don't want to do these techniques. I don't want to do this. It's his. Yeah. It's so his. And it's so good how he does it. No one should do this because it's so original, man. So I don't even want to take little tricks because it sounds so good and feels so good. I'll keep doing it. And every time you hear it, you're going to go, that's Eddie Van Halen. Right. I have done little things, even though if you don't hear Eddie Van Halen being a big influence, I hope you don't, because that's not what I'm going for. If you're a new young player, I would say take as much as you can from all of them and just aim to make it your own.
Dude, that's so something Eddie Van Halen would say.
And what about you, Jay? Then for vocalist, who was your first go-to vocal?
Just try to copy me.
I think that there are so many. Anytime you can hear that, like what I was talking about earlier about that vulnerability.
Yeah.
Anytime you can hear that, of course, Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone, all of those. But it's also the broken bone on bone, the old voices, Screaming Jay Hawkins, Bob Dylan. People always want to talk about how Bob Dylan can't sing. Oh, come on. Yeah, that dude can. Yeah, he can really sing, A good voice is an intact message of whatever their human condition is.
Our two guests are Jay and Scott from Rival Sons, and we're going to talk about what looks like an extraordinarily busy year. You flew in here from Norway, so you're clearly going around the world at the moment to talk about Darkfighter, which is your current album, coming out 2nd of June. But it's not the only album this year. You've got two. You've also got the Lightbringer album coming out in the autumn. So tell us about the genesis of these two albums.
We were recording through 2020, 2021, and then the better part of 22 as well. In the interim, it was such a dense amount of living and social, political happenings, for us in the United States, a lot was going on. I know every country had to deal with the pandemic in their own way, but I also know that the United States dirty laundry was aired out across the world.
You had a unique set of circumstances going on there.
We did.
That's a very nice, very proper, nice English way to put it.
Do you like that?
Yeah. So we had all of this stuff to deal with, and it seemed like divisive topic after divisive topic.
As songwriters, it's almost as if you had too much material to deal with. I mean, how do you kind of distill that into a place?
Well, that's what I was getting to here. There was so much to write about, and now it's not that. It's not as if we masterminded the idea of putting out 2 records, or it wasn't like that. It was that we had a collection that we knew needed to get out, but we're not going to pare it down into a smaller album, A, and then B, looking at it, we're not going to make this supremely dense record and put it out there, because we don't like the format of a long play record is already near extinction as it is, and we realize this. So partitioning it into two installments of a collection seemed like the right thing to do.
From the first installment, Darkfighter, can you give us a track that you think is particularly representative of the record?
I have one
that's indicative of the statement
that I feel is like really interesting, and it's different and powerful. I think the closing track is the one I would say is like, it's special, particularly.
I would agree, and the reason for that is this was one of the tracks. This was one of the first.
We're talking about
songs.
Dark Side.
The song is called Dark Side. This is one of the first tracks that we actually finished, and the reason that it is seminal for the collection is it set a bar. The light and shade was very strong, but it's the tones and it's the narrative that was so heavy and it was so large. Like, okay, well, we began with this. Where are we going to go? Where's this collection going to take us? And I think that it having gotten that song together, I think that it certainly caused us to be even more introspective, and force us to look through that lens and to mine very, very deeply through an internal process that way when putting these songs together.
I'm going to go with one of your tracks now, Scott, and this, I'm delighted that you picked it. I was very surprised that you picked it. I didn't get any sort of prog-ness from your career, but you've got Pink Floyd, a track from Ummagumma, which is the excellent Careful with That Axe, Eugene.
I spent a time in my life where that was pretty much all I listened to.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm a Pink Floyd freakazoid, and the career is so deep. Especially, I like the Syd Barrett era for a while as a kid, Piper and stuff, and I was just like, oh my god! And then you can really breathe in how important it was in history, what was happening when he did that, and how integral they were in that psychedelic movement. This track particularly, I've always loved. There's live versions of it that are incredible. I have a 15-year-old son who is just like me at that age, and absolutely, he's inundated with them. That's his band.
That's so good.
So, yeah, and there's not a ton of prog in our band to this point. I can just give a little breadcrumb here with this track that you might get a little bit of that on Lightbringer, so get ready.
Oh, we like
Hold
that.
Hold on to your hats, dear friends.
And we're currently sat about half a mile away from the UFO Club where they first performed this. So it feels,
with the mirrors in the background.
The mirrors and the oil wheels.
I literally got chills thinking about it. It's so exciting.
Let's talk about the live experience in the UK, because we embraced your music quickly, and the UK audience have always, I think, been particularly passionate about what you do. How do you find it from a performing point of view, coming and playing in this country?
I feel like everybody here's smart as hell. They got big hearts.
We're way ahead of the game.
I think that as soon as we got over here, it was very, very apparent. One thing that's different about the UK audience that I'm aware of, and this is really brilliant, like all of the old rock icons are still royalty here.
Still playing the Royal Albert.
Yeah.
Still popping in.
And now, but what that does is it provides a very special thing. Understanding that you're playing to an audience that is appreciative in that way is very comforting, because you know that you're your efforts are being considered in a very, very special way.
Must make it tricky to pick the songs, though, because on stage you got a limited period of time, and now you've got even more material too.
I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah,
I don't know how we're doing.
We don't know. I mean, we're pretty strong about playing albums, and I know that could be, you know, it could be a lot to ask of the audience, but like, you know, with our last record, we pretty much played almost the entire record.
Really?
So
yeah.
We're saying, I don't know if you're into everything on here, but we are, and we're going to play it for you. So we're going to see if you like it like this better than on the record or whatever. Like, it could be like considered self-indulgent if an artist just plays what they want to play, but it's actually the opposite. If you don't do as you're inclined and you feel deeply in your heart as an artist and deliver that to the fans, then you're actually marooning them.
Yeah.
That's what this has been our relationship the whole time. And now you're making me choose everything and you're just going to play what I think. Now your shape. It's like when bands sign to major labels, they sign a band and traditionally they'll want to tidy them up and get them with different songwriters and get them in different clothes and kind of guide the whole record. It's like, so did you just sign yourself and kind of put me in the role or something? That's not what you wanted.
Yeah, I never
what you wanted
that.
was to sign me. You liked what I was doing.
That's right. So
And this
why
is
would
the
you try and
problem
change
with
that?
art and rock and roll?
Yeah.
When we let people with money and people controlling the business control the art, it waters the art down, and it makes it cheaper and it makes it less authentic, and that's really the idea. I wouldn't want fans to hear this and think they're self-indulgent. They're going to play whatever they want. I would want them to feel.
For me, I don't mind at all. I am self-indulgent, and I don't create music for the audience. I create music for what I need to create.
What I'm saying is that is not self-indulgent. That's exactly the role that Jay Buchanan signed up for, and that every fan that likes him signed up for.
You subscribe to that. Exactly right. Exactly right.